Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of We Do Virtual Events Live. Boom. I am Zafzan, your host here. I'm going to tell you something and be honest with you today. This episode is kind of intimidating for me because I have four guys who will be like way beyond my league. But you know what? The reason I brought them on is I want to learn new things, and I'm sure some of you want to explore some great new things. Especially today's conversation is all about how to choose the right live streaming solutions for virtual and hybrid events. And in case you're brand new to our show, We Do Virtual Events Live, you're wondering what in the world is the show all about? Well, it is a talk show featuring trailblazing conversations with global virtual event pathfinders who reimagine the traditional event experience. Now, folks, you're probably wondering, like, why this topic, Zeph? Why live streaming? The show is all about We Do Virtual Events Live. Well, folks, one component of virtual events and hybrid events could be live streaming sessions, live streaming shows. But, if you're wondering, like, Zeph, where's your credibility on doing all this stuff? I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to show you something that I've done in the past after doing what I've done and tested all the different formats of live streaming. And I got really overwhelmed. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, this is a lot of information. How do I handle it all? I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what I've done before. And then I'll bring my guests back and also introduce them so that you can explore more with them. If you're here, say hello so I can say hello to you right back. I just want to do a quick shout out to everybody's here. I see Chris and Chris Carson and Ross Brand just put their chat in there. If you hear, say hello. Chris says, hey friends, I'm so pumped to be joining you today. Have questions about live streaming? Ask away. And I'm Chris for Steady Live. And Ross said the same thing, excited for this panel. Okay, I'm going to show you what I did before, and then I'm going to show what these guys are doing later so you can have more options for your live streaming solutions. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm not as geeky as they are, but I'm going to tell you this panel, you're going to hold on to your seats because they're really great folks, great guys. They've been in the industry for a little while, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek at who they are and bring them right back. Boom! Are you ready? I'm gonna. I usually have 5 guests, but today I'm gonna just have 4. I told myself 4 is enough because what they're gonna be bringing to the panel is just gonna be super amazing. All right, everybody, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom!
Boom!
Boom. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. I feel so out of place. I'm the only rose among the thorns. Oh, well, welcome, everybody. Welcome, Ross Brand, Leland Bass, Jiggy John, and Chris. And Jiggy John and I actually met last week, and we're actually fellow Malaysians. We're like, what? This is interesting. What? Anyways, folks, if you're here, say hello so that we can say hello to you right back. And if you're on our live stage, do say hello. So our live stage is in Crowdcast, so we're separate. But I just want to say, John Giovanni is in the house. Hello from Vegas. Hello, Vegas. Patricia Murray. You're from Durham, North Carolina. I know that for sure. And Paula's in the house. Paula says, good day from Sydney, Australia. And a follow of Chris Carson. Whoop, whoop. Chris, you've got fans in the house. I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but you must be in one of my groups that I'm streaming to. So I don't know your name, but it's okay. Welcome, my friend. All right. He or she says, why me is there? This must be somebody making some fun. But anyways, we love fun. All right, guys. I am very excited with the topic that we're having to discuss today on this panel. And if you're tuning in, folks, we are going to talk about how to choose the right live streaming solutions for virtual and hybrid events. But before that, I'm going to let the guys do like a 30 seconds intro, and then we can get started. Ross Brand, you have the stage.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Zeph. And it's great to be on this panel with so many live streaming and digital media experts. And I run Livestream Universe, and I live stream a whole lot. And I enjoy doing talk shows. The talk show format is what I do. I also help brands and entrepreneurs use live streaming in order to sell products, get new clients, and basically to monetize live streaming for their business.
Boom. Leland, you're next.
Yep, that's me, Leland Best of BCB Live. I started my AV career back in the 80s as a public broadcaster through public access television and my own high school alumni. And over the last 10 years, I've been a live streaming expert. I wrote a book in 2017 that was called Best Live Guide, helps you build your own professional broadcast studio in your basement. So events are the thing that we do now, mostly working for the big public sector. Public Health Institute is our next big event coming up.
Boom. We love Chris so much, we have him come back. See? Welcome back, Chris Carson.
Hey, friends. Thank you for having me, Zeph. Hey, it's so great to be back. And hey, if you don't know who I am, who my company is, we do live streaming a little bit differently than some. We are all about mobile live streaming. How can we do it more efficiently while retaining the same quality you'd expect? And with that, what new possibilities or new opportunities does that create? Pretty cool, right?
Very, very, very cool. And Jiggy John is next, all the way from Malaysia.
What up, everyone? Jiggy here. John, known as Jiggy. So I run a virtual event and a live event production agency. We're 21 this year. We do events right across Asia. So I do a lot of conferences, meetings, seminars, the whole 9 yards. I've got a team that does all the work. So I'm just here to represent. I'm the show producer. So happy to talk shop all night long.
Talk shop. We're here to talk shop, folks. All right. Today we're going to, again, if you're just tuning in, all right, this is the topic we're going to talk about, how to choose the right live streaming solutions for virtual and hybrid events. One of the reasons why I thought this would be a great add to the lineup, the 12-week, 12-episode lineup, because a big part of virtual and hybrid events is the live component, right? Because for me, I love the live component, the live streaming component, because it's a way to connect. So I'm going to put up the way this will happen, folks, is I'm going to ask questions. I have 2 questions, and we're going to take turns to answer. We're going to play a little game in the last half hour of the show. All right. Folks, here's the first question, and I'm going to put it up on screen so the guys can take a look at it and start answering. So question number 1, how do I choose the right live streaming solutions for my virtual or hybrid event? Where do I begin? Because I know it can get a little bit overwhelming, right, guys? Because there's a lot of options, and I'm not a techie. How can we, just pick the right one for the right type of event that we're doing? Leland, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I think a lot of it has to come down to who's doing the production. If you're working a production on an event and you are the one responsible for that production, you're going to want to have a good workflow. You're going to want to have something that works well with you as a technical director, so that you know how your talent's going to appear on screen, where they're going to come in, where they're going to leave, how you're going to control the stages. As to where you do that is going to require your effort to go in and study and work with these platforms to see what fits your workflow best, because there are so many different brands and breeds out there. It's best to try them all and see what works with the team you're going to be working with.
I love it. And I actually have something on here that I can actually put up. Maybe you can walk through a little bit about, let me find the right video, because if I put somebody else's video, it's going to be like, what? All right. Talk to us about this setup.
Absolutely. This we did for the Professional Referees Organization under the Major League Soccer. This was basically a setup through Zoom into Zoom, where we pumped a Zoom meeting into a Zoom webinar so that their pro referees could sit down and discuss playbacks from the previous year's season and go through what they were going to be doing for best practice in the following year with COVID in the way. So a full rundown of the show was necessary. We had several people coming in. This happens to be a berry festival following in that slide you saw after that, where we ran a CEO event for a large berry company. So it depends really on what you're doing. If you're doing something for a CEO type internal event, Zoom is a big thing to go to because of its ease of use and capabilities. It has a lot of ways that we can produce on video within that platform itself. And then again, if it's going outward to the facing public, you have to consider how you're going to deliver that content. And Zoom's not always the best way to do that. So it's really a toss-up.
I love that you say that, right? Because Zoom is not always the best way to do that. And I say this a lot, not because I have anything against the product of the platform. I have this hashtag allergic to Zoom when it comes to virtual events, because I think people don't have this understanding that there is more to Zoom if you want to create an engaging virtual event. I know some of you producers, guys on this panel actually use Zoom, just like what you said, Leland. You can use Zoom, but also, it just needs to be outside the box. You need to know who's producing for you. Ross, you and I kind of roll in the same space. What about you? What's your take on it?
So I think the first thing is, if you're doing an event where you have a lot of different speakers, a lot of different things going on, the first thing you want to do is get off social media. And if you can use a dedicated event platform, now you have ticketing, you have different options, but you make it feels much more for the people who are attending like they're going to an event versus dropping in a live stream. And that's going to greatly increase your watch time. And it's going to greatly increase engagement. It's going to make sponsors happy. You're going to have the option, depending on which platform, you may have the option of vendor booths and multiple sessions going on at one time. The two that I'm most familiar with are Hopin and Hubelo, and they're both really good platforms. And I did an event recently, Monetize Live Streaming Now. It was 8 hours live, and we did it on Hopin. And the average attendee watched 4.5 hours of an 8-hour live stream. If I had streamed that to Facebook, the average attendee would have watched, 13 seconds and not turned the volume on. So I'm not pitching any of these platforms as the right solution, but I think you have to consider that if you want to make an impact with your event, the first decision is to get off social media. The second decision, and this piggybacks what you were saying and other people have talked about a lot in the last year, is that Zoom kind of feels like going to work. So it may be fine if you're having a small group meeting with people from the event, but I think people want to feel like they're doing something different. And going to an event platform, getting a ticket, having booths, having some sort of networking ability, all these different things break out of the format that people are used to being in all week long at work. So I would say those are the main things. And then you need to, as Leland said, you need to pick a streaming solution that works for your setup. So if you're going to be, like in my case, I host and produce at the same time, I need something.
We only
that's,
have 10 fingers, right?
I need something that's relatively easy to use. So I use StreamYard so that I just can give the speakers a link. They come on, I introduce them, put them on. They all know how to use it. And if they don't, it's like 2 seconds to walk them through how to do it. I don't have time to set up, a Wirecast or a vMix and grab the screen from everybody. So that's kind of my overview of it and how it went for me. But there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But I'd say number one is if you can get off social media, do that, because you're going to see major growth in watch time. It's going to be a better experience for the people who attend.
Thank you for doing it. Do you actually have a video that you want to share with us, Ross? Because I know I said, if you have a video to just give people the perspective of what can be done, like even though we keep our setup simple, right? And I want to put out what Cloud Expo says here. Cloud Expo says no one size fit all virtual event platform solution in market. I agree. And there's a lot of good platform in market right now. Oh my God. I sat through 10 hours of demos last month and I'm about to throw up and I'm like, oh my God. But yes, there is no one platform. This just reminds me, Leland and Ross, when we met back in the Blab days, we talked about, oh my God, we have to find the right live streaming platform. And then we were trying to figure out, do we go to live stream? Do we go to Blab? Do we go to Periscope? Do we go to, I can't remember what else, but that's the same issue that's the virtual event platforms are going through right now. For us, making that right selection of all in one doesn't really exist. So absolutely. Ross,
Zeph, I think you can just bring the video.
I have it.
You just click it up and it should work.
Yep, there you go. And that's your this is your setup, and this is you hosted StreamYard Connect for how long, Ross?
About 2 years.
Okay. And you have a simple setup like I do, a microphone, a condenser mic, you have your headset, and it keeps it really simple because we produce and we deliver a presentation and we talk. And right now I even feel like I'm looking at 3 different screens. And yes, for me, I like to keep it simple. So the way that you do it, you keep it simple too. And, we have virtual event platforms like Hopin, Hubelo, AirMeet, just name it. But I think I love that you actually keep it simple. For me, I have this is my simple setup. When you guys go geeky on me, right? That's why I said I was kind of intimidated with this panel because I'm like, they're going to talk about tech gears and all that stuff. And I'm going to show you my desk right there. That's all I have, and I kept it really simple. Oh, okay, that really is, I don't even have Elgato Stream Deck. I don't have all that. I kept it simple because I want to make sure that I can do all the other stuff.
Well, if you want to get really geeky, I have a dynamic mic. But other than that,
yeah, there you go.
Not a condenser.
We have all these little other tools. Absolutely. Chris, I wanted to kind of share a little bit about your setup and your solutions, because for you, when I got to know you was through I was fascinated with all your mobile streaming solutions, right? Because when I actually, if I remember, when I actually did the cooking show, was just like praying around, trying to see if I was going to do a cooking show at all. Everything was done through Switcher Studio. So I was earlier on the Switcher Studio bandwagon, and I know you used that a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I was. So yes is the answer, right? When it comes to, just like you're saying with your simple setup there, is of course keeping it simple, not including a bunch of extra stuff just because you might need it or whatever else is not the right answer. Knowing what the goal from your client for that event is, for me, is the number one thing. Of course, when choosing any platform or destination or tool to live stream it with, or camera or anything else, all of it is quite literally, for me, comes down to know what the goal is and just simply accomplish that. It's okay to just accomplish that.
I love that. And I have a video of you too, so I'm going to put this up. This is fun. Look at that.
What's up, guys? I'm Chris Carson of Steady Ready, and this is Steady Live. I'm in the business of live streaming. Learn what it is, how to do it, and why you need to get on it right now. I am about to share with you how live streaming can change everything. So yeah, the punchline there is what you see in the video is all of the tools we're using is based 100% on mobile solutions. So using iPhones as cameras, using tools like Switcher Studio or AirMix, or even Ecamm on the Mac desktop, whatever that is. Everything is all about taking what we know from the pro high level or high end world and bringing that down to enable new options, new possibilities, maybe lower budgets for the clients that maybe can't achieve the bigger ones. But whatever that is just simply enabling new possibilities through and through for the world of live streaming.
I have to ask you this. I know because we're talking about streaming solutions. So one of the things I want to ask you, because you're very pro mobile streaming. So you have, the first thing that comes to mind for me, let's just say we're at a virtual event, right? That has a hybrid component. And I'm thinking like, okay, Chris, you're going to produce this for me. And Chris says, okay, I'm going to bring all my mobile, solutions. And people look at you. Have you had people look at you go like you're going to produce this all on mobile? Because I know when I did my cooking show, my gal says, this is all iPhones and iPads and tablets. They looked at me like weird. But when I produce it, they go like, wow, that really looked like quality production. Have you had that question asked to you? Oh, are you muted?
Check. Thank you, friends. Here we are, right? We are live. Yeah, absolutely. In the early days, 100%, everybody was cautious or nervous about, what do you mean you're going to use an iPhone? That's insane. But when you, of course, are able to show them the live stream and be able to not only solve the problem, or the goal for them, but also include the graphics, include the pre-recorded video content, whatever bells and whistles are needed, multiple cameras, all of it, it can all be done with mobile solutions. And when, for me, when you look at solutions like maybe using an iPhone, name one other camera on the market that has 3 literal cameras on it, by the way, that are backed and developed by a $1 trillion company dumping billions and making these itty-bitty cameras the best they can be year over year. Why wouldn't you look at a solution like that? It just simply enables again, I keep saying, it just simply enables new options and new possibilities.
Boom. All right. Now we have the higher end production solutions, right? For virtual events and hybrid events, and then if you want to take it up 20 notches and have a lot of budget, I'm going to let Jiggy John share a little bit about his events. So I'm going to share his events. Let me play a video and then we can ask him a little bit about this. Let me find the right video for this. Here we go. All right, let me play this. Let me just go back and play it. Oh, where's the audio, Zeph? Audio. Oh,
gotta
sorry,
crank it
guys.
up.
It's live.
You gotta bring the audio up there.
I feel like I wanna dance a little bit more.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Welcome to the live streaming of RB Virtual Conference 2020. How are you guys doing? Now we have from Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and of course, Thailand.
Southeast Asia will grow.
All right, I'm going to just play it up to there because I feel that I'm going to have a lot of questions about that production. Jiggy John, why don't you share a little bit about that all those solutions that you use in that event?
Sure. So I think the answer really stands that there is no one solution that that applies to each and every one. And we are an event tech solutions company. So the beauty of virtual events, it's only about 18 months old in our neck of the woods. I know in the States it's about a decade old. I think Leland, you mentioned you've been doing it for about a decade. The thing is, before that, Asians, there's no way in heaven we're going to sit in front of a screen. We are social beings. Like you're not going to,
Yes.
it's just not going to happen,
Yes.
And the thing is, all of Asia, we're so close by. Now, you guys going from the East Coast to the West Coast, that's like going across the whole world. But for us, it's just a 2-hour flight or a 3-hour flight. So we used to do live productions right across. And then the pandemic hit, we had no choice. So we were catapulted into the virtual sphere. And what happened was we had to come up with solutions to each and every client. So the video you just saw was an event that we produced with 2 studios going live in Bangkok and in KL. But we had an audience from 5 countries. And so for the same client, subsequently, we produced Manila Live and KL Live with an audience in 6 countries. And actually, coming up in 2 weeks, I've got an event with 11 countries, and I've got presenters in 4 countries. And I'm hosting it from KL. So just like you, Ross, I'm also a show producer and a host. I'm an MC as well. So I host almost all my events.
He does it all.
But the difference is I let the team run the production because I'm just the guy in front of the microphone and I've got the team to run the show. So we have produced stuff on Big Marker. Obviously, we do a lot of Zoom and Microsoft Teams simply because the two-way engagement is very, very powerful. With conferences and meetings and forums, if you don't have the two-way engagement, people literally fall asleep. Like 2 weeks ago, we produced an event with 23 nations involved, 420 participants. Our presenters were from Argentina, Mongolia, the UK, where else? Belgium. So
Wow.
I think, just virtual events right now in this neck of the woods has just gone through the roof. It's just psychotic. I mean, you guys up there in the States, after 10 years, it's like, it's just a walk in the park. But for us, we've only had 18 months to learn this curve super quickly. And it's just
I think the rest of the world too.
it's just been mental, but we do most of our productions on Zoom and Teams only because we do a lot of multinationals and their meetings require the two-way engagement. But we're doing something coming up soon with Hubilo and Canopy as well. I don't know if anyone here has worked with Canopy.
That's a new one for me.
It's another new platform. So there's like 50 platforms, maybe even more, but what works for you doesn't necessarily work for the next person. So every single event, I mean, we've got a 3D platform, an immersive platform with my partner here who's in the stream, Cloud Expo. And, that's competitor to VFairs. So we've got it all, the expo floor, the auditoriums, the booths, the whole 9 yards, right? And we've also got a custom event microsite. So we pretty much offer solutions, not just the ones we build, but the ones that are existing in the market. And then the production team just goes to work. So we literally don't force one solution down the throat of a client. We listen, we understand the event, and then we give them the best solution. Just like Chris mentioned earlier, like you really need to listen, understand, and obviously, let's see how far their money's going to go. So got money, got honey. Got money, got honey. No money, no honey.
I love that you say that. No, that's the truth, right? So for you folks who are just tuning in, this is We Do Virtual Events Live. And today's episode is all about the conversation about how to choose the right live streaming solutions for virtual and hybrid events. The reason I picked this topic was, number one, I started out live streaming. I started out live broadcasting. I remember the day when I, hosted a lot of in-person events, and I was like, oh my God, I am just the only passionate person trying to get people to this event, and people RSVP, and 2/3 don't show up. So I got frustrated and I said, there must be another way to actually get my audience to attend my events and consume the value that I have, that I want to bring, even if they're on their toilet seat, And I always joke about that, but that's the truth, isn't it, folks? Like, you don't have to shower, you don't have to brush your teeth, you don't have to put deodorant on, you just dress waist up, and you can still have a conversation with people. And that's when I started live streaming, and I met Ross and I met Leland. Leland. I remember those days, right, Ross? We were like, okay, Blab I am. Just jump in any of the rooms and start meeting people. But technology has kind of evolved so much over the years for us. And post-pandemic, now we have this whole culture of virtual events and the virtual event platforms. Live streaming is a big part of virtual events because I feel it is the engagement vehicle for every virtual event. So that said, I want to just quickly go take a break and we'll come back in about 10 seconds. All right, we'll see you in a bit. I see comments in here. Somebody, Jay says, Jay happens to be in Malaysia, my co-event partner in Malaysia. And she says, yes, no money, no honey. I love that. Christopher Pino Pupillo says, which app or platform are you using to produce and stream this conversation? I'm actually using StreamYard. I've used it for a while now. And Ross, how long did you do the Connect show on StreamYard, Ross?
I did it for about 2 years.
Yeah. So we did it. We're using it because it's one of the easiest way to produce pro content. But that's my option just because, I'm not there yet. No, I choose not to be where Jiggy John is or Leland is because my head can only handle so much, right? I only have 10 fingers, everybody, 10 fingers to do all this 3-4 screens plus iPhones. It's just too much. So I just handle certain things that I want to. All right, let's go to the second question. The second question is, what is your go-to live streaming solutions when producing a virtual or hybrid event? All right, why this and how do you use it? Maybe a short answer, guys, because I know we did touch a little bit about it. Because for me, it's StreamYard. What about you, Leland?
For us, it's Zoom right now because we actually build most of our events as a Zoom inside of a Zoom is what we like to call it, because we actually create the presenter Zoom as a Zoom meeting. And by using that, we can build out individual stages, green rooms, and other places where we can interact with our presenters off stage. So it allows us to build up something like this. And you have to kind of see my stage to understand why we use Zoom.
Look at that.
So the way we do this
oh my God.
This is simply 2 PCs built with 3 screens available here and 3 screens around here for the other layer. So what that allows me to do is have a Zoom, and you're going to see the glitching from the camera above. That's just a bad camera. I'll have a Zoom gallery here and a speaker view here that I can mesh into my vMix install, which is what you see on that right screen, which is what I use for software. I can do closed captioning overlays via NDI on this screen and any other breakout rooms that I want to monitor in the process, which is something we find ourselves doing a lot when these corporate events break out into breakout sessions. We need to also monitor and watch what's going on and record those feeds. And in order to do that, we use things like virtual computers or virtual devices that can go and capture that stuff in the cloud, or we build vMix in the cloud, and we also have run Zooms in the cloud. So it's really a matter of how many people are attending. But our big go-to is to be able to get the attendees in the webinar and then take that webinar or take the Zoom meeting and broadcast it within one seat in that webinar that everyone is showcased so that they can watch the display. And then there's interaction through all of that if people want to connect.
I love that you actually showed that with other multi cameras. And I think for some of you folks who really want to take your live streaming to that extent, you have these 4 guys here to kind of walk you through it. Just don't call me because I ain't going to entertain that because I was just like, ugh, But anyways, what about you? What about you, Ross?
Well, as I mentioned before, for a lot of my events, I'm actually hosting, and I don't have a team. So I really rely on StreamYard because I need it to be easy, and I want to focus on the content. I want to focus on the speakers. I want to focus on the engagement. And I also want to have all the sort of the features kind of built in that I would need. It makes it really quick to add lower thirds in the middle. It makes it really easy to show comments on the screen. But the other thing is I get a recording. I don't have to do anything. They record it. If I want to record locally as a backup, I can do that. But I actually was able to just take that recording, put it on my desktop, right? And just like you played that video off of my desktop, I was able to restream the event the next day to the event platform, and people who missed parts of it the day before could literally come back in at the same time and watch it if they wanted to, restreaming it. So for me, my focus is, the stability and the ease of use of StreamYard. There's a lot of great different ways to do it. And then also taking advantage of the features that the event platforms offer. So, for example, when we did the event in Hopin, sponsors can go live in their booth. And they're just doing that through the native integration. Now, that I don't know if that's going to change, and StreamYard will be available as an option over time or whatever. But I think a lot of these platforms are building out their own solution, or they're buying the solution for production. And again, if you're a very small team or you're hosting it, you have to consider what's easy so that the content can be the focus. And the other thing is, if you can only optimize one aspect of the technical side, focus on the audio. If people can't hear it well, if it's a strain, a lot of people are going to listen in another browser while they're working. The audio is more important in a lot of ways than the video. It's not to knock the video, but people have the value is in what the speakers and the other people that they're networking with are saying. I know you said a short answer, so maybe I should have stopped 3 minutes ago.
But that's the value that you
go.
bring. But that's the value that we all bring. But no, I love that you kind of lay it out that way, because I'm exactly like that. Because I'm like queen of like 3,000 things, right? I'm like, I only have 10 fingers. I don't know if I can use my toes, but I try to keep it simple. If I do, and at the time that I want something bigger, I have I have a Jiggy John, I have a Leland Bass, I have a Chris Carson. So I'm like, y'all take this, okay? Because I ain't gonna do this, because it would just make me throw. I can't even talk.
If you don't mind, I'll just throw in one other thing. Think also about what tech you need post event if you're going to sell replays, sell access, sell memberships.
The marketing side of things.
I take all the videos, I put them on a Uscreen like account website, and people can then either I give them access because of the ticket they get, or they can get like a membership and they can watch the videos for a monthly subscription.
I love that you're thinking solution in the post-event perspective too. Chris.
So obviously, I love the other things that the other gentlemen have said on this panel today. This is fantastic. When I look at the last literal year and a half of life, for me, the entire planet finally realized what we actually do and the value of it, which is awesome, right? And within that time, how many solutions existed 18 months ago? How many exist today? That's exciting, right? And now looking at those solutions that even, for us, my top 3 are things like Switcher Studio or Ecamm, or even Top Director is an amazing up-and-comer. But when looking at... you should totally check it out. A lot of big things coming on that one. But that's a whole nother deal for another day. But looking at these options, or looking at these tools, looking at what they've done in the last 18 months and their roadmap going forward, oh, wow, is it really exciting, not only to be in live streaming, but also, and at least on the mobile side, it's really exciting as we get new options and new possibilities with the tools. But looking at what we can do so easily, that is, for me, life-changing in the last 18 months. Something that was so complex, that required a mountain of equipment and whatever else. And now, as you see from the other gentlemen that they've presented, it may not take a mountain of stuff or a giant team to produce these entire events. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's incredible.
I love that you shared that. In one of the things I want you folks out there to kind of pay attention to this conversation. Yes, this is like one of the most geeky panels that I'm bringing to the 12th episode. The reason is because I'm a believer of live streaming, because from my perspective, I'm a content marketer, right? So I also deliver from an engagement perspective. But what I want you all to also hear are your options, from the most basic option to the most sexy options. Like my friend Jay who's here watching, she goes like sexy. So from the simplest to the sexiest. The question is, you have to think about your resources, whether it's money, it's team, what your goals are. So it all depends on what you want to achieve. Then if I can't help you, my tribe, you can help you. This is Chris Carson. There's a Ross Brand. There's a Jigga John. There's also Leland Bass. So reach out to them. They also have their own community. So be sure to reach out to them. Here's another thing. Oh, okay. Somebody just asked a question. We'll put up the question. Rizal Kamal says, any tips for a virtual comedy-based talk show? We talk about the hottest news and do celeb interviews. I want Jiggy John to answer this, because I think, comedy talk show, it's more the entertainment talk show kind of thing. It's in your wheelhouse. Can you take this question?
No, but I need to bounce it back on the panel because I'm involved. I'm involved. Listen, I'm involved in this question. Rizal is my buddy, and we're working on this together. Hello.
Yes. Okay.
So, I abstain. I want to hear from you guys.
I'll take it, Zeph. I'll take it.
All right. Go ahead, Leland.
I actually produced the show License to Rant for John Peasy, who was America's Got Talent season finalist 7. If you want to go look him up on YouTube, you can find him. Him and Mikey Sausage do a little show out there where they talk about current events. We have people like paranormal investigators and psychics and all kinds of other interesting folks that we discuss their forte with, and we have a lot of fun doing it. One of the things we found is, obviously, we've done it both ways. We've done it live and we've done it recorded. The engagement certainly isn't there when you just record these shows. So what we find is it's truly a place for the live stream engagement that you're going to encounter when you actually bring comments in from the audience. And it's something that can play both ways, though. If you're looking to present comedy to an audience, you kind of have to let the comedian do his thing and not let the audience interfere with the show. So there is a fine line you have to draw there, but the talent can interact with the people in the audience in ways that are different from a live event. So you do have to kind of plan it out. Look to YouTube for your first go-to normally, but make sure you do focus on some of the social networks, because they will be a place you can start to build your audience and then go from there. Like Chris mentioned, and several others have also, like Ross, stick to a platform that you can use that fits your audience.
I love that you mentioned that. And folks, before I actually want to come back to Jiggy John, because this question number 2, but I want you to tailor it a little bit to your region of the world, because the specific question has a lot to do with the pandemic. But folks, before we do that, I'm going to do a quick 30 seconds intermission and we'll be right back.
Explore and discover with us why virtual events are becoming more essential to what you do and how you connect with the audience. How to choose the right type of virtual event for you. What kind of tools and resources are needed to produce your virtual event? How to pick the right virtual event service providers. How to monetize and profit from your virtual event. For more exclusive content, resources, and opportunities regarding virtual events, join our online community.
All right, folks, welcome back. You are watching We Do Virtual Events Live, episode 7. The conversation here today is how to choose the right live streaming solutions for virtual and hybrid events. And we were at question 2, where the question is about what is your go-to live streaming solution or solutions when producing a virtual or hybrid event? Why this and how do you use it? And as I mentioned earlier, when we come back, I wanted to kind of tailor this question a little bit more towards the region Jiggy John is, my hometown, Malaysia. But Jiggy John, I think before we came on the show, we did talk about how Malaysia is going into, another pandemic lockdown. And you said now you cannot do like in-person events. So you kind of have to go back to the virtual setting. But you and I agree on the fact that when it comes to delivery, the solutions that we pick have to be engaging. So what's your plan to your go-to solution for events, virtual events, engaging virtual events that, during this pandemic is just almost impossible to do it in person?
Yeah. So, to date, and I think just like Leland mentioned, we still use Zoom the most. and we use Teams second in place because of multinationals that have very strict, security protocols. And Zoom had a rocky start. We all know about that, but I think they've definitely upped their game since. The point is, and the only reason we use these two platforms is because you need to engage your audience. Right. And I do corporate events. So it's a very niche market. And these guys are, right now I've got a Singaporean bank that has given me 400 questions of security protocols to go through just to use Zoom. For the love of God. I'm like, you guys have nothing else fucking better to do. Like, for the love of God. Like, I got a show to produce. I got 1,000 people to run a show for, and they have me filling up questions on security protocol. I'm like, do I look like an IT nerd? Anyway. So.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
That's.
We're using these two platforms only because it's a two-way engagement, and especially when I host. Just like what you did, your intermission, I do a lot of audience engagement and audience interaction. So I'm doing live game shows. I'm doing live interactions. I'm using external platforms. We use Kahoot, Mentimeter, Crowdper. We embed all these things. We've got our virtual photo booths running. I get people doing sorts of batshit crazy stuff in front of their webcams, just to win stuff. I'm doing virtual lucky draws. It's a big thing out here. I just ordered 60 units of Google Nest and shipped it out to 11 countries. Okay, everybody gets a Google Nest as a dough gift. Like, I want to work for them, but anyways, the point is, it's so nice to do events for the corporates because they spend top dollar. And it's all about pampering their people because everybody's just exhausted from working at home. They're just up to their eyeballs with just looking at their spouse or their pet or whatnot it is. So it's our job to engage them and turn that virtual event around. And so we still stick to Zoom and Teams because it is so far the tried and tested, the best way to get two-way engagement. And just like Leland, we do Zoom and Zoom as well. So I've got my speakers coming in via Zoom, and we're still pushing it out via Zoom. So that's where we do all the back end. And we use vMix as well, and occasionally Wirecast. But essentially, the back-end team, there's 5 people just on it, just like he's got his complete setup. We've got that same complete setup in the studio. We do a combination of white studio, green studio, cozy, the whole 9 yards. I'm not a big fan of green screen productions only because, the kind of nature of what we do, but we do that as well. So, for now, we still are going to be using Zoom. Google Meet is a big no-no, tried and tested as well. So, it's okay for education-based meetings.
Yes, online meetings. So that's where you folks out there who just think live streaming is just like, hey, online meeting. No. Okay, so I want to put up some comments here. Jay is commenting to what you said about the 400 questions. So she says, I feel you, Jiggy. She works in the corporate events too, so she kind of knows like the 400 questionnaire. So yeah, absolutely. Sabrina Tika, hey Sabrina, she was one of our panelists too. She says, hey, IT nerds are cool, I know, but I'm not one. But I'm planning to be one, but I don't know if I ever get there. But Sabrina also says, wow, very cool, LOLs. And Sabrina also said, Zeph, these conversations are so valuable. Thank you so much. Love all your great guest contributions. Well, folks, I just want to say something. We're going to play a little game. We have a few more minutes here. I don't know how many of these questions we're going to do, but just quick, 30 seconds to 1 minute answers, just quick ones so that you get to see the variety or options from a live streaming solution perspective. All right. So I'm going to say we're going to play a game. All right. So let me see if I can put up the game here. All right. Let me just put it up. See, this is 10 fingers doing all the 10 things that I have to do. I'm going to switch with Jiggy here so that I can see his face and, less of mine. All right, here's how we're going to play it this time. I'm going to spin, and I'm calling the person that I want to answer this so you folks can actually, get the benefit from it. All right, are we ready, gentlemen? So I'm going to spin. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, go. Boom. This is a tool question. So, what is your recommended webcam and condenser mic for live streaming? I'm gonna ask Chris Costin to start us off with this question. You're up, Chris.
Yeah, so you know this by now. I'm all in on mobile, right? Now, don't get me wrong, Apple did amazing things when they came out with the new webcams with the M1 processor inside all the new lineup, right? But man, there's nothing better, nothing easier to use than, well, quite literally the device you always have with you. And so, right now I'm using a iPhone 12 Pro to talk into. So when it comes to cameras, iPhone 12 Pro is the way to go for me until the new iPhone 13 or whatever it's called comes out, right? And of course, using that with right now I've got the Elgato Wave 3 microphone that I use as well. So they both work great. So yeah, can't recommend enough.
When you want all tool information like gear, equipment, make sure you join Chris Carson's group, right? Chris, you can drop that link later on after
live
the show.
streaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Streaming.
Steady live streaming. Awesome. Jiggy John, do you have a recommendation maybe from folks in Southeast Asia who's listening in?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if all goes, hopefully, I don't want it to go that way, but my next two productions are going to be done in the format where I'm going to be at home. Every single production of mine has been in a professional studio. So I've honestly never used a webcam. We use professional grade cameras. It's all broadcast cameras. And we have only done studio productions in the last 18 months. So although right now I'm on a Logitech Brio, whatever, it's a 4K resolution webcam. If that helps.
In other words, folks in Southeast Asia or Malaysia, right? If you want a high-end production, you know where to find Jiggy John now, right? Boom. Leland, what about you?
I'm kind of in the webcam boat myself and have been for several years, mostly because of the small studio you saw me put on screen earlier. I've been on a C920 and am right now, but I'm looking to upgrade to a Brio or even an OBS bot, which is a small little, about the same price PTZ camera. The other one I would recommend is the Huddle Cam, which is a little more expensive, but it's available to plug into your network via NDI network cabling so that you can bring more to your live streams that way. So I'm looking
awesome.
As far as
and folks,
Mike,
if you
I'm on an AT 2020, but I like to prefer people to pick up an audio interface rather than just run your mic into your PC. Find an audio interface to put between them.
But you're actually using a virtual audio mixer, aren't you?
I'm using both today, Zeph.
Both,
I purchased a Black Lion Audio Revolution, which is a 2x2 mixer, similar to a Scarlett that you see a lot of people using on the market. But the voice meter software is also in conjunction with that, so I do a lot of work with that too.
Yeah, that's where I kind of like stuck with because I'm no hardware girl, so I use the virtual one. Anyways, Ross, what's your preferences? Because Ross and I kind of rock in the same boat. Yeah.
All right, so on the microphone side, if you're starting out or you want to keep your budget down, I highly recommend the Samson Q2U. It's like $50. I use dynamic mics. I come from a radio background. These mics reject noise very well. But the downside is if you don't want to have your mic on camera, you need to be close to these mics. But I recommend the Samson Q2U as a USB mic. You can plug it right into the computer. If you move to Pro gear, you can still plug it in with an XLR connection into a mixer or audio interface. Then if you want to go pro, I recommend either, the Shure SM7B, the Electro Voice RE20. There's plenty of good mics in between, like walking up the channel, but those are and if you want the best, like under $1,000, I'd say the Mix Pre line from Sound Devices is just, it's pristine. It's pro quality gear all the way at pricing that a lot of creators can manage. But there's great audio interfaces even for under $200. There's companies that are known for making these huge consoles that are now making, budget audio interfaces that are really good quality. So you can do that as well. On the camera side, I've always, like Leland, I've been Logitech. I think I went with the C922X, and I use that up until recently, and I got a Sony A6400. So I'm using a mirrorless camera, and I find that works better for me with a green screen than a webcam does. And like Chris said, actually, the camera in your phone is better than any webcam you're gonna buy. My problem is I still have to use my phone as a phone. And so to set it up, take it down, set it up, take it down, whatever, is complicated. And so webcams are convenient and they're inexpensive. So you can certainly put on a very good show with a webcam. A lot of really good level live streamers do. But you can move to a mirrorless camera, and if you are using something like StreamYard and you want to add multicam, there's tools like the A10 Mini Pro from Blackmagic, which will allow you to basically plug in a whole bunch of professional cameras, and you can run it into your computer as though it was just one USB webcam, and that can give you more switching and different shots. But mostly this is talking head, right? So you could really legitimately start out with just one camera, a webcam, some decent lighting, and you're good to go.
Can I just say one thing, Zeph, about webcams is if you're going to get a webcam, don't waste your money on cheap knockoff webcams, because you're going to just waste your money. Anywhere from that $20 to $75 range, stay away from it. If you can get a nice Logitech for under $75, grab it. But if you're going to be looking for knockoff brands, you're very likely not going to find very good ones.
Yeah,
I agree. And I think for here's my take for all of you who are probably just starting to stream out, and you go like, okay, I'm gonna build my arsenal from the simplest maybe, and then maybe get to Jiggy John's level. So here's my take: is always invest. When you make the investment, just make sure that you can handle that technology on your own in the beginning, and then as you progress, right? As you make progress and you figure out like, okay, I want to provide services, or I want to make this a part of my business. Because there is a difference just from being a content creator to a service provider. All right. So if you actually want to invest in bigger and sexier stuff, I really recommend, so this is from the marketer who's thinking about it, is think about like where your goals are. You have to kind of like think about that, because otherwise you'll be buying, like in the past, I've done this, spending a lot of money on things I don't need, right? So we all do that a lot. So and technology, it changes three months, and it just changes. So I'd rather say this to you right now in picking your live streaming solutions. Pick also a goal, the mindset that you're going to go with it, whether you're a content creator, whether you're actually a service provider. Think about that, because it's important to come from that angle of where are your resources, right, folks, guys? So I just want to play one more game, one more question, and then we can actually wrap this up. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna spin, and then Chris, you're gonna call whoever you want to ask this question to. Ready?
Ooh,
1,
exciting.
2, go. Boom. Who do you want to ask this question? Name one benefit of live streaming for a virtual or hybrid event based on your experience.
Well, that's amazing. I'd love to hear from all of you, really. But John,
Exactly.
please take it away, man.
Hey guys, I just shared. I mean, the world is my oyster right now. I mean, I'm producing events for people around the world without leaving. Well, I am leaving my doorstep, but without, you know what I mean. I never thought. I mean, I did international events before, but now I have. It's mind blowing, to be able to produce to an audience around the world, and it's just amazing. And one of the nicest things I like about hybrid or even virtual events is the fact that, I don't know about you guys, but I find that audience engagement has actually gone up. Like, because in a live event, I don't know, like right now, I feel like people just are able to reach out and ask a question, or, and you can conduct a poll and you get very instantaneous answers. In a live event, by the time you get around to 50% of the crowd, you don't have the time anymore. So, and me as an entertainer, as an MC, I thought it was going to be the hardest transition of my life because I've been hosting on stage for 18 years. And then when I did my first virtual event late last year, and now fast forward, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go back to live events anymore. I'm like, I'm happy to do my thing in front of the camera and have the entire, and the best part, they're all keyboard warriors. Everybody's now on fire. In a live event, I'm like the devil. I'm like the devil incarnate. I'm running after them, trying to get them on stage. And now they're all there in your face.
Yep.
You know, so
I love it.
I think, that is truly powerful. That is truly powerful. Like, I never thought I would accept this way of life or see this come to fruition. And I love it. Honestly, I love it.
I love that you shared that because Sabrina Tika also said virtual events and live streaming has allowed us to meet so many cool international people like Zev and all you guys. Boom! And that's exactly why, I actually, Ross, myself, Leland, and a bunch of other live streamers, we started there and we keep on saying like, oh my God, when I started live streaming, I remember this, I was never on Twitter. So this was my journey. And back then, blep.im was actually integrated with Twitter and Periscope too, because Periscope was bought over by Twitter. So what happened was I was never a Twitter person. And when I started live streaming, I started blowing up 50 followers pretty. I mean, what the hell is going on? You mean I have to go on Twitter right now? Are you kidding me? So, but my point being is that connection, suddenly you become visible. And especially if you're in marketing, that is an avenue where you don't have to spend too much dollars that maybe we don't have on, getting to know more people or attract the right clients or reach more people. What about you, Ross?
Can you repeat the question?
The benefits of live streaming for doing a virtual and
versus having it in person, or just the benefits versus like having a pre-recorded.
I think the benefits of live streaming, because we have it in the components of virtual and hybrid events. What have you seen the benefit of live streaming itself?
Okay, so the benefit of live streaming, say, versus a video on demand kind of event where you post up some videos each day and people can watch, is it feels like an event. It feels like an experience. You have the interactivity, the engagement, and people are going there in order to connect with other people. And there's also a sense this speaker's coming up at this time, I don't want to miss it. Where when you do video on demand, you're basically competing with YouTube, you're competing with Netflix, you're competing with everything else. If you really want to get people involved, if you really want to give them the ability to interact with your sponsors, to interact with your speakers and your community, I just think live is everything. I mean, I think it's a differentiator so much. I mean, it's the difference between, now you can run some pre-recorded stuff if you have to in the middle of an otherwise live event, but the live format, the live structure, the let's all gather at this time for this experience, there's something about it that it makes it hard to go back. And versus in person, I have a ticket because I bought a ticket to an event that was canceled last year. And I have it it's coming up in 2 weeks, and I'm thinking, how can I do this? I have a book launch in a week, and, I start looking at the pricing for flying and for hotels and all these things, and I go, you know what? I bet I could just switch this to a virtual ticket like that. It's probably the same price or less, and I can still catch the sessions I want and network and all that stuff, but I don't have to disrupt my entire life in order to participate.
I love that. Chris, your turn, and we can wrap up.
Yeah. So this is the whole reason I got into live streaming, right? Coming from the pro world, coming from the high-end video production, everything is scripted and so bloody rigid, or at least for me, that's what it felt like. And so within that, live streaming enabled authenticity. It enabled the truth to finally be told. We can pre-record things and that's okay. But there's nothing better for a live audience to experience what we experience life as, live. And so within that, for me, that's what it's all about. Is quite literally, is when we talk about experience, for me, it comes down to authenticity. So how can you get that? What is the value of virtual live streaming or hybrid events? Oh my gosh, it's still being there. Just as everyone else is saying, it's still being a part of the conversation and the experience in the most authentic way, outside of physically being there.
The next best thing to being in the
Yep.
same room with the other person is right here. And I'm going to put out what Cindy says. Cindy, actually, we as in Leland, Ross, myself, and Cindy, we all met on Blab. And thank you for being here, Cindy. I haven't seen you in a long time. Woohoo! Blab I am. Folks are in the house. All right. The ability to talk to one another and see faces has saved many people's sanity in my universe through COVID. Absolutely. And about 10 years ago, I remember saying that, right? Leland, Ross, we say, oh, come join us at Blab I Am. And look at me like I came from planet Mars. And now post-COVID, they go like, you're so right, you know? And people told me in the past, like, I don't like to be on camera. What do you mean I have to be on camera? No, I don't like camera. Then post-pandemic, everybody had to learn to be on camera. Everybody goes like, I can't believe I'm on camera right now. See, this is what I'm saying. Leland, wrap us up right here.
I think the big thing that we've discovered over this last 18 months is that there's no more limitation or restriction on time, space, and travel. So we don't have to go anywhere to be at a live event with others. We can reach anyone from across the entire planet at any time that we need to, because we can either be there live, or thanks to the ability of the internet to record these sessions for us as well, people can stop by at their leisure and see what they missed earlier. So it's kind of an all-inclusive way to handle things. I think the world is finally opening its eyes to the fact that we don't need to be there in person to be there. And that was said by all the others on the panel.
And like I said, you don't have to shower. You don't have to brush your teeth. You know, you don't have to even put deodorant on. I really don't care. Just dress waist up. Look, he's getting up.
Still in
Like,
my PJs.
look at me. That's what I'm saying. I mean, come on, be real, right? Because we see newscasters, like, even there was I think there was a commercial on TV. There was this guy doing an interview, like HR was interviewing him. And when he woke up, it was, when he got up from his chair, it was just in his boxers. And his child was like, Dad, you're in boxers. And he goes like, yeah, they only see me waist up. This is what I'm talking about. We still are able to build the connection, even though, you know, we're on camera, but it's a great way to just engage and build that relationship. Sabrina says, no high heels. And Cindy says, you need to wear pants. I think they all have pants today, Cindy. All right, everybody. I just want to say thank you all for being here from the bottom of my heart. This has been a very enlightening conversation, even though it's very tech, you know, like tech driven. But I'm glad I brought on the right folks to have this conversation, because otherwise I know I'll be throwing out. I don't like just talking heads. You know, we like comedy hour. You know, we have enough people to do the comedy hour here. But I just want to say thank you all for being here, and be sure, Cindy says thank you. And they're engaging. This is what I'm talking about. I love this conversation. And Sharo Miza is from Malaysia. He's actually our trade commissioner when about a few years ago in New York, and I had him also earlier on. All right. Thank you all. Thank you so much, my guests, for being here on the panel, for sharing your wisdom, your experiences. And until next time, folks, be sure to check our website, wedovirtualevents.live, and save this date, because September 1st, we're going to have a global networking expo on September 1st. And where do you get that information? You just go to wedovirtualevents.live, because we will have different people in this industry of virtual events, hybrid events, and in-person event, also live streaming at this expo. Save that date, because we have 2 sessions. All information can be found at We Do Virtual Events Live. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Be sure to connect with our speakers, presenters, and they're going to be dropping, you know, links, information. And if you go to our website, We Do Virtual Events Live, you will find the link. Yes, you will find the link for our Facebook community also. All right. Until then, thank you all for tuning in. Bye, everybody.
See you, friends.
See you guys.
Take care, everyone.